Even after countless cruises, I still get excited stepping onto a cruise ship on embarkation day. If it's a new ship, it's the curiosity. What's it going to be like? How does it feel? What's different? And if it's one I've been on before, it's something else entirely. It's that sense of familiarity, knowing where things are already, wondering who I'll run into on board. Because as a guest speaker working on cruise ships, I embark just like any other guest. Same terminal, same processes, same queues. Embarkation day might seem like a bit of a throwaway. You're not really on holiday yet. You're still arriving, figuring things out, maybe a bit tired from travel. But here's the thing, this first day, it quietly shapes the rest of your cruise. Get it right, and everything feels easy from that moment on. Get it wrong, and you can spend the first 24 hours slightly on the back foot, wondering why everyone else seems to know what they're doing. Before we even talk about boarding and getting on the ship, I've got something important to say. And that's that embarkation day really starts the day before. If you're traveling any distance to the port, especially if, like me, you're flying, I would never risk arriving on the same day as the cruise. Delays happen, cancellations happen, weather happens, and the ship won't wait. So wherever I can, I build in an overnight stay, preferably as close to the port as I can. It removes the stress and lets you start the trip properly and relaxed, rather than rushing from airport to terminal. This is also the time to get organised. Print your luggage labels and attach them properly before you leave. Have your passport, boarding pass, and travel insurance details ready to go, either on paper or saved on your phone. And one small thing I always do is take a photo of my luggage, and I screenshot all those important documents too. It just never hurts to be prepared. All of this takes just a few minutes, but it sets the tone for everything that follows. If you've never cruised before, the whole boarding process can sound a little bit intimidating. You don't really know what to expect. But in reality, it's just like a streamlined airport experience. You arrive at your designated time slot, drop off your luggage, show your documents, go through a quick security check, and then you're on board. No long-haul stress, no gate changes, no sprinting through terminals. Just a steady flow from land to ship. And yes, you may have to queue a little bit, but if you've done all that preparation in advance, it usually goes fairly smoothly. And then suddenly you're standing in the atrium or on deck thinking, right, I'm here. What now? Well, it's here that things get interesting. Now, the biggest mistake I see people make on embarkation day is treating it like a free-for-all, trying to do everything straight away. Alternatively, you might wander, drift, and just think, oh, I'll figure it all out later. But modern cruise ships are more complex than ever before. Restaurants, spas, shows, excursions, and everything can fill up quickly. So the smartest thing you can do? Board with purpose. Not panic, not stress, just a simple plan. By the way, I'm a cruise ship speaker specializing in all things Northern Europe. You can learn more about my story on my website, davidnikel.com, where you can also sign up for my cruise travel newsletter, packed with stories from my life at sea and tips for your next voyage, whether it's your first or your 50th. Even if your cabin isn't ready yet, go and find it. Learn where it is. Get your bearings. Where is the nearest staircase? And where are the closest lifts? And as soon as your cabin is ready, go in and check everything. Lights, shower, air conditioning, power sockets. It sounds boring, and it's probably the last thing you want to do with the excitement of boarding the ship. But trust me, day one is when you want to get these things sorted. I've seen people leave it a couple of days, and by then, options are limited. Then there's one person you really should meet as soon as you can, your cabin steward. They're one of the most important people on your entire cruise. A quick introduction, a friendly chat, maybe even mentioning a couple of preferences, it makes a huge difference. Because cruise life runs on routine, and once your steward understands yours, everything will run more smoothly. There's one place I generally try to avoid on embarkation day if I can, and that is guest services, because it will be swamped with people. Queues build quickly, and unless you've got a major issue, it's rarely the best use of your time on day one. If something's not quite right with your cabin, your first stop should probably be your cabin steward. They can often fix small issues without you needing to go to guest services. Or they can point you in the right direction without you needing to queue. And if you do need guest services, try calling from your cabin instead of going to stand in line. Yes, you're still going to have to wait for somebody to answer, but at least you can do it in relative comfort. Embarkation day is busy for everyone on board, especially the staff. A little bit of patience and common sense goes a long way. Now, if you're like me, one of the first things you'll think about when stepping on a cruise ship is food. And that's completely fair. You've probably traveled, you're probably hungry, and the buffet is right there. But so is everyone else. The buffet tends to be busy throughout embarkation day. So if you want a calmer start, it's worth thinking a little differently. Check the newsletter in your cabin, the cruise ship's app, or just ask a crew member, because many ships open a main dining room or a quieter sit-down venue for lunch on embarkation day. It'll take a little longer, but it's a much more relaxed way to begin your cruise. It's also a great moment to slow down, take a breath, and let the whole experience sink in. And one simple tip that's easy to overlook: hydrate. Between travel, excitement, and salty cruise food, it's very easy to forget. A couple of glasses of water early on makes a big difference to how you feel later in the day, especially if you have a drinks package. Now for the big one. Book now, relax later. Dining, shows, excursions, spa treatments, anything you even might want to do. Because the best options, they go fast, especially on busy sailings with few days at sea. I've lost count of how many times I've heard people say, "Oh, we thought we'd sort that out later." But then it's gone, booked up. Get your reservations done early, and suddenly the rest of your cruise feels wide open. That being said, there is only one thing you absolutely must do on embarkation day, and in fact, it's before the ship can even set sail, and that's the muster drill. This explains what to do in the event of an emergency, where your life jackets are, how to use them, and where to go should you hear the ship's emergency signal. On most ships now, it's a quick safety video on your phone or your cabin TV, and then followed by a short check-in, normally at your muster station. The best thing to do it immediately. Get it out of the way, and then you, hopefully, won't have to think about it again. Now, before you actually set sail, here's something that people often overlook, and it can be a very expensive mistake: forgetting to switch your phone to airplane mode. At sea, your phone can connect to maritime networks, and the charges can be eye-watering, even if you're not actively using your phone. So one of the first things I do on embarkation day is switch my phone to airplane mode. Then it's done. Then I decide properly if I want Wi-Fi or just a break from it all. Now, there are emerging options such as eSIMs or options from your carrier to use your phone while you're at sea, but they can be complicated and confusing for some people. If that's you, your best bet is to put your phone onto flight mode until you're back in a port. Now, on some cruises, depending on the ship and the cruise line, I find there's an underrated moment on embarkation day. There's a quiet window once everyone has gotten on board before the ship sails away. This is when the ship suddenly feels calm. Everyone's unpacking, and it's the perfect time to explore. Walk the decks, find your favorite spot, get a feel for the space. Because once sail away starts, everything ramps up. Now, depending on the cruise line, sail away might be a big deal. Music, drinks, energy, that sense of this is it, we're off. And yes, it can be great, but it doesn't have to be a party. Some of my favourite sailaways have been the quiet ones, standing on deck, watching the coastline fade away, taking it all in, because that is the real moment your cruise begins. Embarkation day isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things in the right way. Get those foundations in place and the rest of your cruise just flows. And that feeling, that's why even after all these years, I still get excited stepping aboard. Check out this video next to learn all the mistakes I've made over the years so you don't have to. If you're about to take your first cruise, this is the video for you.